How is everybody? Hope everyone's well. Feels like a lifetime, but it's only been a week, you guys. So I'm back. I survived. You guys said you wanted a recap of my trip. So here you go. I'm giving you a recap of my trip. Let's see. I'm all ready for fall. I got my excellent day for an exorcism pillow that actually sits on my couch 365 days a year, but it must be showcased. Thumbnail. I figured I would just do a story time because shenanigans happened. I mean, we are talking about me and my mother, like where I get it, and my sister. Oh my God. I will save the best story for last. It's fine. So I flew into Billings, Montana, and that's where the trip started. For those of you who have not had the pleasure of experiencing Billings Logan International Airport, there is nothing international about that airport. There was one restaurant and one gift shop, but we'll get to Billings Airport because my experience at the end of the airport experience, my flying home. Billings is a small town. I mean, it's one of their bigger towns in Montana, and that's really saying something. Like, Montana's just not populated, but it works for the size of the town. Like, I'm not trying to shade or as our girl Chantel says, airport shame here. Like, I'm just being real. Like, I'm just telling you, like, there was one restaurant and one gift shop. We weren't staying for Billings. So our trip was a road trip. We got a sweet Kia. Actually, it was a pretty good car. Kia stepped up their game, I must say. We rented a Kia when we did a road trip through the South. Back in 2010, we flew into Orlando, and then we drove to New Orleans, and then we went up and around to Savannah, and then we went down the eastern seaboard side of Florida. So we've done like road trips like this before, and we drove a Kia. And somewhere in Mississippi, the driver's side door was busted. Like 1 minute it opened fine, and then the next minute you couldn't open the driver's side door from inside. Like, someone had to physically open the door for you. So we stopped in Montgomery to go to the Civil Rights Museum, and my mom had driven for a while. And so my sister and I got out, and we were like standing like 20 feet away from the car, and you could just see my mom's head in the car, and my sister and I are looking at each other like, what is she doing? Like, hello? And then my sister's like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? And I see her running to the door, and that's when it clicked, like, oh, that's right, she can't get out. And I had the car keys. Like, my mom handed me the keys. I can't remember why. It was just so funny because all I remember is the back of her head. Anyways, that did not happen on this trip. It's such a bummer. We were all kind of like, when we saw the Kia, we were like, door better work. Door works. So yay for Kia. Good job. Day one, we drove from Billings to Little Bighorn. It wasn't my favorite stop, but I didn't anticipate it being my favorite stop. I was curious about Little Bighorn. I just wanted to see it, and I saw it, and yay, check. And then, like, the best part too about going to Little Bighorn was, like, I think we got there at like 4, and the park ranger, like, we pulled up because it's a national park, And the park ranger's like, hey, we're closing soon, so you guys can just go right on in for free. So I'm glad I didn't have to pay for it. I'm big on supporting local parks, but if the park ranger's gonna let me in for free, hell yeah. Like walked around, checked it out, and we were like, okay, we're good, check, let's move on. And so our first night we stayed in Wyoming, which wasn't far from Little Bighorn. We stayed in a little town called Sheridan, Wyoming, which was just, I rented a hotel room because it wasn't far from Little Bighorn. I figured we'd be a little bit tired. The next morning we woke up and we drove to Devil's Tower, which I think took us like 2 hours to get there, I want to say. And like on the way there, the internet like completely crapped out. So we had to like resort to reading actual maps. A skill that I'm glad I possess. I don't think we ever actually got lost. I think there was a few times we were like, where are we? So I will say I 10 out of 10 recommend Devil's Tower. If you haven't been to Devil's Tower, you totally need to go. It's so great. It's so beautiful. And they have, you can hike the perimeter of the tower. If you want to climb up the tower, you have to get like a permit or something. Like they won't even let you climb. You can't get off. They won't let you off the trail. And I'm not going to go test that theory. I'm just not defiant. Every time, like every few 50 feet or so, like you got like a new angle of the tower, and it was just so cool. It was so photogenic. Like that tower is super photogenic. And I guess there's a KOA like campground at the foot of Devil's Tower. And I guess I heard from one of my friends that they play Close Encounters of the Third Kind every night. My friend asked me if I stayed at the KOA, and I was like, no, I didn't. He's like, oh, you should have. They play Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I'm like, I mean, I hear you. That's great, but it's not good. I mean, I can just watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind from the comfort of a hotel room too. Thank you. That's great. I mean, there isn't much else at that park, and it's not a national park either. I thought Devil's Tower was a national park, but I think it's just a state park. I'm big on national parks, if you can't tell. So we stayed for like a good 3 hours to, you know, walk the perimeter and stuff, but there wasn't much else to do. And yes, it does live up to the hype. Then after Devil's Tower, we drove, I think, another 2 hours to Spearfish, South Dakota. Which is 30 minutes away from Sturgis and 20 minutes away from, I don't know, maybe it was like an hour away from Sturgis and 20 minutes away from Deadwood. So we stayed, and we stayed in an Airbnb there for 2 nights, and that Airbnb was sweet. It was so cute. Like the decor was so awesome. South Dakota is kind of underrated. It's very beautiful. There's a lot of natural beauty in South Dakota. And so the next day we went to Deadwood. Now we thought we were going to spend all day at Deadwood, but Deadwood was kind of a hostile environment. There was a lot of people, a lot of anti-maskers, a lot of very upset people. I'm sorry you have to wear a mask. I mean, South Dakota is definitely not enforcing mask mandates, so I don't really know what you're upset about. But it was kind of, I don't know, it just didn't feel very pleasant. Like there was a lot of hostility, like, because I would go into a store and I would put my mask on because I'm not trying to get infected. I mean, even though I'm vaccinated, I don't want to get COVID. Like, it's fine. Like, and you know, honestly, I'm gonna be one of those people that wears masks during cold and flu season because I've just enjoyed not getting sick. I've realized the benefits of wearing a mask for myself personally is I never get sick now, and I think it's great, and I'm totally down for it. But like, was that the hill you're gonna die on, you guys? Like, really? There was a lot of drunk people. Like, I saw one dude yelling at someone on the phone, and then there was this group of youngsters, like they were arguing and fighting over some chick driving drunk. I would have really enjoyed Deadwood had there not been a pandemic. So we drove into the Black Hills, and honestly, from that point on, we didn't really do anything in towns other than one other stop we did. Drove into the Black Hills, and we skipped Mount Rushmore because, I mean, we already weren't planning on going, but after everything with Deadwood, it kind of solidified in our mind, like maybe we should not go to Mount Rushmore. And plus, someone warned me about going to Mount Rushmore. I guess like he had heard a friend went, and I guess it was really bad, so I didn't go to Mount Rushmore. I went to the Crazy Horse Monument instead. Had lunch there. We had Native American food. I don't know how authentic it really was. They like had fry bed, but honestly it seemed like glorified tacos to me personally. Sorry, don't come for me. Mom ordered a stew. Now I wish I ordered that, because so then when we finished our lunch, we were like, we thought we were gonna leave, but then they had a show, and they had people from the Navajo tribe was up there from Arizona. And they have a really great museum there, and it's very educational. It's a very great experience. I very much enjoyed being there. I felt like I learned something, and I was just really glad. I'm definitely gonna go back in like 5 years just to see the progress. Like, I will make an excuse to go. And so we were gonna get a different Airbnb, but this time it would be in Rapid City. So Rapid City was about an hour away from Spearfish, and Rapid City is like, it's a decent sized town for, like I said, once again, for South Dakota. It's a decent sized town. Once again, South Dakota, not very populated. So, but it had everything. Um, I thought Rapid City was pretty cute. We didn't check into our Airbnb until like later. We left really early because we were going to the Badlands. And the Badlands, I think that was like a good 2.5 hour drive from Spearfish to the Badlands. And we also stopped at Wall Drug, which is, if you don't know what Wall Drug is, I don't know what to tell you. I had to explain it to someone on Facebook. They're like, what's Wall Drug? And I was like, really? I don't know how to explain it. Like, Google it. But my friend Corey summed it up the best about Wall Drug. I just never know which exit to take. I think they should add a few more signs. So like, if you've never driven through South Dakota on I-90, it's like every couple 100 feet there's a sign for Wall Drug. Like 5-cent coffee at Wall Drug, cowboy boots, Wall Drug, get yourself a burger, Wall Drug, kids love Wall Drug. It was just like constant, like Wall Drug, and you're like, hey, what exit? Like, it tells you every 200 feet. It was, once again, it was one of those places I would have enjoyed a lot more if there wasn't a massive pandemic. Okay. You guys, if you go to Wall Drug, get the fudge. The part about Wall Drug is you can go straight to the Badlands from Wall Drug. It's perfect. So we drove in through Buffalo Gap and then Buffalo Gap grasslands, which I was like, what the hell is this? And there were buffalo. Yay, I love buffalo. So we get into the park and it's just beautiful. Don't hate me, I might like it more than I liked the Grand Canyon. Sorry. Don't be mad. So pretty. I can't, you guys. It's so pretty. Like, it's so pretty. I was just like in complete awe of Mother Nature. Like, Mother Nature, you crazy bitch. Look what you did. The next day, we got up early. We went back to the Badlands. We did this thing. So we decided that we would go for a little hike in the Badlands. Not too terribly. Now remember, like, the days we were at the Badlands, the first day we were there, it was like 106 degrees. It was toasty. And then the next day it cooled off. So like the first day we were like, no, we're not gonna go walking where it's just too hot. And like, it's very dry. So it's, I don't know. Like, we got out and we'd look around, but basically like the scenic loop was what we could do, and the grassland piece. So we did that. And but the next day we were like, yeah, we want to go walk in the park and check it out. So we go on what we thought was going to be the 2-mile hike. But we didn't read the signs correctly and we went on the 6-mile. Yeah. In 90-degree heat with not a lot of water. It was really smart. My mom started getting heat exhaustion. And I was a little freaked out myself personally because I was feeling some effects that were a little scary. Like, I was getting very dizzy. And I had a headache. And I gave my mom all the water that we had left because I didn't want my mom to get sick. But honestly, I was getting like super lightheaded and dizzy. And I was like, I hope I don't pass out. I was never so happy to see my car. We celebrated being alive and had lunch and drank like copious amounts of water. And we spent, oh my God, we spent like 8 hours at the park. Like, no joke. We spent all day at the park. And we saw insane amounts of bighorn sheep. Like, I swear, everywhere you look, there was bighorn sheep with their horns, man. They're huge. It was crazy. They were everywhere. They're hanging out on the ledge. Like, you be careful, you're gonna fall. And they're like, no, we got this. This is what we do. And I'm like, I don't believe you. And then like there was like a baby bighorn that walked in front of my car, like, whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, go ahead, after you. It was great. So basically We got home, we were exhausted, we went to sleep. We had to get up super early because the next day we were going to drive up to Standing Rock because we were making our way up to North Dakota now. So, okay, so you guys, driving to Standing Rock was not something I ever want to do again. I will go back to Standing Rock, but I'm just saying I'm not going to take the route I took before. Next time I go to Standing Rock, I'm going down I-94 and down, because the other way I went, no. No. So first of all, there's a whole lot of nothing between Rapid City and Standing Rock, Standing Rock is on the border of North and South Dakota. It's the Sioux Indian tribe. It's where they had the pipeline thing go on. But the drive was very isolated. It was like sunflowers, 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 corn, 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 wheat, wheat, sunflowers, sunflowers, corn, corn, wheat. Whole lot of nothing. It was very monotonous. Like, it felt like at times like, wait, did I just drive down the same road? Like, literally, it kind of messed with my mind. Like, it was really weird. Like, I was worried I was just driving down the same road and I wasn't getting anywhere. And also I didn't have cell service, so we were relying on a map. So it was kind of scary. But so so we're out in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know where this place is, but anyways, I had like a half tank of gas, and I think we had we definitely would be able to make it to our next stop, which was at Prairie Knights Hotel and Casino. That's where we were going to stay in the reservation. And definitely half a tank was definitely more than enough to get there. But I saw this sign, it was like gas next left or whatever. And so I was like, oh, maybe we should just fill up, get a full tank. That way we don't have to worry about it. And no. So I pulled up at the gas pump because I had every intention of getting gas, but I also had to go to the bathroom. So I go inside the store. I've never been so creeped out in my life. Have you seen the movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Yeah, it was like that. It was exactly like that. Exactly like a scene, that weird ass little cafe that they stop at. Yeah, that was it. So I walk in, there's a girl, she comes out from the back. She has like short pixie hair, but you can tell she cut it herself, okay? She's barefoot, which I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, okay. And she's got like the bug eyes, man. The bug eyes. Like something was, and she was looking at me like I was lunch, like a meal. Like, I'm gonna cook your skin and have you for dinner. Like, I'm sure she wasn't, but and she's holding a blind cat. I didn't know the cat was blind till my mom told me. So I'm like, and I was gonna get something to drink and a snack, and I was like, no. And so I'm like, is there a restroom? And I felt kind of encouraged that maybe I wouldn't have to use a porta potty, because when you open the door to go into the gas station, there was a big sign like wash your hands, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe they have a bathroom in here, that would be cool. And she's like, there's 2 outhouses outside. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And like normally I'd be like, ew, but I was like, okay, great. And I just beelined it out of there, and I went over to the outhouse because I legit had to go. Those outhouses, man, They must have been there since the Great Depression. I'm not even joking. Like, those were some really janky ass, like, scary as shit going in there. I had no choice. I had to go to the bathroom. And there's all these abandoned trailers, but some of them look like people lived there. So, like, I considered just going outside. Like, honestly, sometimes if I gotta choose between a porta potty and just going out in Mother Nature, I'd rather go out in Mother Nature. Oh my God, I'm gonna get killed. And so I get out of there and my mom's like, wait, don't you want to get gas? And I'm like, no, we're not getting gas. I am not staying here another second. And so my mom actually went in and had a longer interaction than I did. So my mom was like petting one of the cats and like asking her, how are you? And like, are you okay? And she's like, she had put the cat down, and this is how we found out the cat was blind. So my mom was like feeding it beef jerky, and she's like, that cat is blind. And my mom's like, oh, okay. Good to know. And she's just like staring at my mom like, where are you guys going? And my mom's like, I'm not gonna tell her. Well, we're just going north. Where north? North. Towards Bismarck. Like, it was pretty vague. There was a lot between there and Bismarck. Like, we're not telling you. So anyways, we get out of there, use the bathroom. Thanks. I drove, like, I sped away. I was just like, nope. Nope. There was something wrong with that girl. Something very wrong with her. Okay, just trust me. And so then we made it to Standing Rock Indian Reservation, and we went into the town of McLaughlin, and we had like food. We had like bought food from the grocery store, still like stuff for lunch. So we just pulled up into like this old park, which was like basically a square block of grass and trees, like a few trees scattered, but it was just like basically a square block of grass. And it was like, this is a park. Really good enough. So we sat down under some trees and we just made ourselves a sandwich and had like carrots and yeah. So we got gas in McLaughlin at the gas station where the gas attendants weren't psychotic. Love that for us. And we went and saw Sitting Bull's burial site, and we went to Standing Rock's memorial monument. And drove through a part of the reservation. There was like a house along the road, and they had like they had painted their house with, tribal art. It was really pretty. And then they had a sign that said water is life. After everything we put the Native Americans through, it's just, I don't know. I just think about everything that we put them through. And I just, I know I can't fix it. And we went to the Theodore Roosevelt National Park. It's on the border of North Dakota and Montana. And that park was amazing. First of all, they had wild horses. I don't need to say anything more. And it was also considered Badlands too. I was kind of confused. I'm like, I thought I was at the Badlands. Oh, these are Badlands too? Okay. Badlands here, Badlands there, Badlands everywhere. But anyways, Theodore Roosevelt National Park, definitely worth stopping at. It's really pretty. It's so pretty. Like, It's so pretty. I was like, okay, North Dakota, I see you. Okay, North Dakota, I see you. And yes, you do your thing. Look at you showing off. You're very pretty. So pretty. Like the western part of North Dakota. I don't know. I didn't go to Fargo or anything because Fargo's at the other end of the state. And like I drove up like in the middle of the state. So, everything west. But like, oh, loved that park. That park was great. Once again, it was like we were just gonna go for like a couple hours, and we ended up staying for like 5-6 hours at that park. It was great. I decided to go as far as I could to Billings because we were gonna fly out of Billings next day. So I got within like 100 miles of Billings, and then I was like, okay, that's good enough. And we stayed at a hotel, and we were all getting pretty worn out. So the next morning, this is where it's like the funny story happens. So my sister doesn't drive. She doesn't have any experience getting gas and stuff like this. So my sister was paying for gas though. So she would pump the gas. And so we got out and we were gonna fill up the gas tank and then head out. So I'm cleaning the windshield and I glance over and I see a flash of green and I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what do you have? And she had the diesel nozzle. She was aiming the diesel nozzle into the gas tank and I was like, stop. And she's like, what? And I'm like, that's diesel. She's like, okay. I'm like, you never put diesel in a car that takes unleaded. Put that back. Use unleaded. And I was like, whew, crisis averted. And so she's continuing on and I'm like, okay, so I'm cleaning the windshield wiper, like cleaning the windshield off with like all the bugs, and it was so many bugs. And all of a sudden I hear a shriek. I'm like, oh my God, what now? And I turn and look at her and I shit you not, she's covered in gasoline. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And she's just standing there like, I was trying to fix the nozzle and it sprayed me. And I was like, oh my God. She's like, it wasn't pumping gas. I'm like, we just have to like give it a second. But she doesn't know. She's never, she doesn't drive. She doesn't get gas. She doesn't know. It was just so awful. So I'm like, okay, go in the bathroom and try to clean up. She gets to the car and the car just reeks. And so I'm like, oh my God, no, this isn't gonna work. Like, and my mom's like, you're gonna have to change your clothes. This is like, you have to change your clothes. Like, this is terrible. Like, I cannot begin to describe how strong she smelled of gasoline. It's like so strong. So she goes back into the bathroom because I'm like, no, this isn't gonna work. And then I'm like, well, and so my mom and sister shared a suitcase and it was completely full. And so she was wearing her jeans, because that would create less space. So I was like, well, you're gonna have to put your jeans in her suitcase, in my suitcase. And I was like, no, you're not. I'm not having all my clothes reek like gasoline. So we're like, you can try to wash them off and then we can just dry them. But it's a gas station bathroom. And my mom's like, just throw them out. So we had to throw them out. Yeah. And I guess the bathroom just reeked of gas. But we'll never see that town again. So at least you're smelling gasoline in a bathroom and not poo. So there's that. My sister was she was pissed. And I couldn't stop laughing though. I couldn't help it. It was hilarious because I kept thinking of the scene of Zoolander with the gasoline fight. And I couldn't stop laughing. She's like, are they gonna let me on the plane? I was like, well, you have enough gas on you. You could probably fly yourself home. She did not think that was funny. I could not stop laughing though. And eventually she chilled out and we all do stupid stuff. Do you want me to list off all the dumb stuff I've done in my life? I've done a lot. So, I mean, just on the trip alone, I could tell you some stupid stuff I did. You know, hey, don't feel bad. So anyways, we make it back to Billings. So we get lunch and we go to the airport. Now, the Billings airport and Alaska Airlines both said to show up 2 hours early. So we did. We followed directions. Well, there was no one at the Alaska counter to check our bags. And in fact, you couldn't check in. I mean, we checked in, but you know, you couldn't like print luggage tags and stuff. So we had to wait, which was fine. And I was just like, why would they tell us to get here 2 hours early if the people at the counter aren't even going to be there? Like, why would you tell us to do this? Because I was thinking, like, well, I'll check with Alaska and I'll check with the airport and we'll decide. And both were the same. Both said get there 2 hours early. So we were like, okay, I guess. It was so boring. Did I mention there was like one restaurant and like like they got every order wrong because I stood there for a long time because I was ordering like lattes. And I swear to God, they got like every order wrong. It was hilarious. And she's like, oh, that's not what you wanted. She's like, oh, that's too bad. Here you go. I was literally like, cool. And so I ordered an iced Irish cream latte and she gave me a vanilla and I didn't even argue. I was like, she's like, here's your vanilla latte. I was like, vanilla? I said Irish cream. You repeated Irish cream. Okay, that's fine. And I tipped her. Tipped her. I was just like, yeah, it's fine. Vanilla, that works too. Whatever. I don't care. I did have my little heart set on Irish cream, but it's not that big of a deal. But it was just hilarious. Like, because like the girl in front of me is like, hey, I ordered a chicken and cheese panini, and this is only cheese. And the lady's like, oh, I didn't know you wanted chicken on that. And she's like, oh, here you go. I guess you're not getting chicken. And then the girl walks away, she's like, well, at least I didn't get charged for the chicken. It's like, oh shit. And there was this other guy, like, you were supposed to put cheese on my burger. And she's like, oh, I didn't know you wanted cheese on your burger. Here you go. He's like, okay, cool. Good times. This is a fun restaurant. They were nice. They were just... Listen, don't be going there with your high expectations to get your order right. Okay, Karen, chill out. Okay, like that place was a test of patience for the Karens of the world. Here's your vanilla latte. I ordered Irish cream. Okay, sounds good. Anyways, oh, but the best part is I rode the world's smallest airplane ever in my life, and I got to sit in the very front row. It was fun. And that happened to be the emergency exit. So I got briefed on what to do in case of emergency, which if you've sat in emergency exit, but like, I feel like I got a little bit more information than I cared to have about planes. I was like, okay, you can stop talking now. I don't really want to know because I was a little nervous about this plane. I'm like, this plane is really small. And I was on it for 2 hours, and I'm telling you, it was like the longest flight I've ever been on. And I've flown to Australia, but that flight was long, you guys. I was just like looking out the window like, we have to be in Washington. That does not look like Washington. Not over the mountains. Where are the mountains? And then I was like, oh, I think I see Mount Rainier. Are we getting closer? I swear to God. It was just like, and then I was like becoming this little backseat driver on the plane because like I know I can recognize things in my own hometown from above. And I'm like, you're going too far south, man. You gotta turn around. Like the airport's back that way. Like, what are you doing? The airport's that way. Turn around. Turn around. We're like in Tacoma. SeaTax the other way. I was like just literally like wanting to get up to the cockpit and go, excuse me, we are in Tacoma. I know you have a plan and you know more than me and I'm not a pilot, but turn the fuck around. I just wanted to get off that plane. I was That was not a good plane to be on for me. I did not like that plane. Too small. Too small. So anyways, I'm home. And a few other things about the road trip is I'm almost done with our book. We also kept up with Chantel. Now, my mom absolutely cannot stand Chantel. She does not like Chantel. And when I told my mom how old Chantel is, my mom looked at me and she goes, stop. You know, she's 37, Mom. She's like, stop. She is not 37. And then she looks at her and she's like, oh, she looks rough. Yeah, Mom, she's like, oh, she looks rough. And then she would like listen to her and she'd be like, what? And then she said something like drug shaming, and my mom started laughing. I looked at her and I was like, Mom, don't drug shame. And my mom was like, that is not a thing. I was like, you drug shamed me. And my mom's like, yeah, you deserved it. She's like, anyone with a drug problem should be drug shamed. Good one, Mom. She's like, if you're addicted to drugs, you should be drug shamed. It's like, okay. She's like, what a crybaby. My mom's like, she would never make it in AA. She's like, she is not strong enough to make it in AA. I was like, Mom, you know the truth. You really do. Even my mom's like, she's never gonna make it. She's got all the answers. My mom's like, she's got it all figured out. What does she need us for? She's got all the answers. She doesn't need our help. It's like, Mom, you know. Like, my mom has been through AA with me. Like, my mom, my dad, my sister, they've all gone through AA with me. It's so funny. I was like, check this chick out, okay? Does she not remind you of me? And my mom was like, what a freaking brat. And my mom's like, I don't like her. Like, I don't like how she makes me feel. And this is my mom. I don't like how she makes me feel. And I'm like, what, how do you feel? And she's like, I feel frustrated. I feel like how I felt 20 odd years ago when you had a problem. She's like, I don't like feeling this way. So Mom didn't want to watch her. And then when she would sing, my mom would be like, oh my God, can she stop singing? I was like, we all hate it. Mom's like, she's terrible. And then she would say stuff and my mom would be like, what? What did she say? I'd be like, repeat her. Wow, she's like a toddler. And then she looked at me and she goes, I think she's worse than you were. I was like, thanks a lot. And I'm like, I think I was worse. And she's like, no, I don't think so. She's like, because you realized and you needed to change, and she thinks she's fine. She's like, that's a problem. She's like, it's gonna kill her. I was like, yes. So my mom knows all about y'all. She was watching DC. She liked DC Media Girl a lot. She liked Yaba a lot. We watched some of Yaba's streams. And my mom was like, oh my God, this girl is so blunt. And then she's like, Yaba would say something and my mom would be like, that was really blunt. And I was like, is that wrong? And she's like, no. She's like, does Chantel watch her? And I was like, oh, definitely, Mom. She's like, good. She's like, y'all keep at it. Don't cut her any breaks. I was like, don't worry, we don't. So you guys all got permission from my mom. You don't have to cut her any breaks. And no, she does not like Chantel at all. Neither does my sister. They don't want to hear another thing about Chantel. They know what I do. And my mom's like, so she's like, so how did you find her? And I was like, I'm not sure. But now that I found her, here I am. It's like, once you find her, you got to see how the season ends. Am I right? So that's it for my trip. I hope you enjoyed the story. The good, the bad, the ugly. And I'll be back on Monday with a barn vlog for y'all, and it'll be great. So I will see you then. But until then, have a good night. Bye.